Yeah, that is the main difference. And then blob storage is a like old storage, and data lake Gen 2 is recommended for big data analytics. Yeah. Now, how many types of integration runtimes are there? Now, to answer those questions, I will ask you a simple problem again. So I am already sharing my screen. So okay, fine. So I will make individual question for all three of you, and then all three of you will answer it. Now I want to move the data from a source which is MS SQL on-premise and the Amazon S3 bucket. S3 bucket, Amazon S3, which is also cloud. Okay, so this is cloud and MS SQL is on-premise. And this question is for Sagar. Okay, and we are moving the data to MS SQL cloud Azure cloud. Okay, MS SQL Azure cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how many integration runtimes are required in this runtime and link service? First of all, answer that how many types of integration runtimes are required in this and what are those?
Yep.
And now think about it. Meanwhile, I'm just writing a question for Supreet as well. So for Supreet, this is the question. So you need to move the data from cloud. I want to move the data, not from on-premise. So from cloud, data lake Gen 2. I want to move the data to on-premise SQL server, on-premise MS SQL. So from data lake Gen 2, I want to move data from MS SQL on-premise. Okay. So how many integration runtime and link services required for this one? And for Arjun, you have this question. For Arjun, this is the question. For Arjun, the question is you need to move the data from cloud to cloud. And you are moving the data from Amazon S3 bucket, from data lake Gen 2 to Amazon S3 bucket. Okay. And Amazon S3 bucket and suppose dynamic 365 cloud service. Okay, so you need to move the data from data lake Gen 2 to this. How many integration runtime and link services required? Now one by one, Sagar, can you give answer? And you, if you need time, then take your time and then give the answer.
Let me start.
Mm,
um, let's go. Okay. For the integration runtime for the MS SQL, because it's on the on premises, so
mm,
we required self-hosted integration runtime for that.
mm, mm,
And for the Amazon S3, we required the Azure default integration runtime.
mm,
Correct.
mm,
And I guess for the destination, we also required the Azure default integration runtime to
mm.
connect the destination, and three link services, service we required. Two for
Correct,
the, yeah, yeah. Okay.
correct. Your answer is correct. Now, Suprit, can you give the answer for this one?
Yeah, um, for the cloud data lake Gen 2, it is Azure default integration runtime.
Mm.
And two on-premise, we need to install self-hosted integration runtime, and for
Where you
the,
will install?
in the
In the server, okay.
server. And for the MS SQL, it's the same thing, self-hosted integration runtime. So total three integration runtime. And
Three integration runtime.
I mean two integration. self-hosted and Azure default.
Hmm. And how many link service?
2 linked service.
Yeah. And Arjun, I have written Arjun.
Yes, I think I'll try like from the cloud to cloud, right? So it is Azure default integration system
Hmm.
because it is a shared one.
Hmm.
And for the data lake Gen 2, also we use this Azure default integration runtime,
Hmm.
and that to be Amazon S3 bucket and dynamic cloud service. Oh, we use this self-hosted integration runtime.
All three are cloud.
All three. Okay.
All three are cloud.
Yes.
So we need auto resolve integration runtime or Azure default integration runtime in all of the three
All of Azure.
data
Yeah.
sources. And then link service is simple. How many data sources are there? That many link services
Link
required.
services.
Just to make life easy, always you
Mhm.
need, just think about how many data sources are there. That many link services required. And if it is on-premise, say it's self-hosted on that server. And if it is a cloud, say it also auto-resolve. Okay. So in this particular question, MS SQL on-premise self-hosted, auto-resolve, how many link service? 3. Auto-resolve self-hosted on this server, how many link service? 2.
2.
Auto-resolve, auto-resolve, how many link service?
3.
3. Simple.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now let's go to data factory. What is ADF? We know, like we understood, data factory is a Azure cloud ETL service for data integration and data movement transformation. It offers no code UI for intuitive authoring and simple single pane of glass monitoring and management. So here you don't need to write code. You just drag and drop the activity and you can do the operation. Okay, that is what data factory is. Now let's go to this. All is done. Yeah, this you'll understand now. What is data set, what is pipeline, and what is activity? Before understanding it, let's do something. So let's create a simple pipeline. We'll create our first pipeline. Okay, so first pipeline we'll create. First ADF pipeline. How to create first ADF pipeline and what we are trying to do over here. So in our first ADF pipeline, I am doing a simple task. What task I'm doing? I will go to data lake Gen 2. And from input container, from this container, I will move the data to the output container. Very simple task, okay? So I will just take the data from input container and move it to the output container. That is what I'm doing, okay? So to do this task, how many link service integration runtime is required? From data lake Gen 2 to save data lake Gen 2 output container.
I guess 2.
No, 1. Because connection needs to be moved from here to here only, right? So
Yeah.
if I tell my driver to move to take the stuff out of my particular one door to another door, then I don't need a particular integration runtime, right? Because this is same, the source is same. Okay, so I need only one link service and one integration runtime because same kind of source is there. Okay, so do I have a link service for it already? Let's check. I do have a link service for it already, right? This is a link service which I have made, right? Now what I am doing here, I am trying to create a pipeline, a copy activity I want to do, right? I want to copy the data from one place to another. So copy activity. Then what is the source data set? I am making a source data set. What is source data set? Data set is a reference point of where data is located. So now you can again cross question me that Abhishek, we have made a connection, right? We have made this connection. But how data factory will know that which data needs to be fetched and from which folder it needs to be fetched? That still we need to tell, right? So for that, we are making a data set. Now, from the data set, people might get confused that Abhishek, does it carry data? No, it doesn't carry data. Okay, it is data set. What it means, it is telling you where your data is located. Okay. Does it carry data? No. Does it copy data? No. Data factory will carry data? No. Data factory will store data? No. Data factory will just by reference by the reference of this data set, data factory will come to know where your data is located. It will take the data from there and dump it to the sync data set, because in the sync data set you will mention where it needs to be moved. But data set will not copy the data in data factory. It will not do something like that. It will just go to that source, copy the data and move it to the sync. That is what it will do. Okay. Now I'm creating a data set and here I will mention a data lake Gen2 CSV file. Why I'm selecting CSV file? Because I am trying to move CSV file here. CSV file is there, input, and then CSV file. CSV file I am selecting and then click continue. And always, whenever you're giving a name, always try to give a proper name, always, so that someone can understand why, what does this data mean. Okay, so what does this data set mean? Okay, if you just, so sometimes developer will not name it properly. Okay, then after some time you'll not understand what does this data set mean. And let me show you example of it. So if I open this data set, few of the thing delimited text one, if I look this, I won't be able to understand this data set is referring to which particular pipeline. I'm not able to understand what this data set is. Okay, so try to name it properly so that you can understand later point of time that what does what this data set mean. Okay, data lake Gen2 CSV file, and let's name it properly. First copy input to output or something like that. Okay, then link service is this, and here I will mention which file I want to copy. So from the input container, I want to copy department.csv. First row as a header, import schema as none. So for now, you will always select, till the time I will not tell you to select, you will select first row as a header, import schema as none always. What does first row header mean? It is telling you that in your Excel, you are saying consider first row as a header in which name is written and department name is written, that row as a header. And this you select none. I will tell you when to select this and when to select this in later point of time. But for now, we will select always none. Click OK. Now go to the sync and then data lake Gen2, where we are moving the data, that we'll mention over here. First ADF pipeline sync. And where I want to copy the data, I want to copy the data through the output container. Suppose you say that Abhishek, I don't want to copy data to output container. I want to copy data into my container, which is output X, suppose. So it is not necessary that your container should be there. It will make a container. So data factory will make a container and then make a copy. Okay, that is what data factory will do. So if container is not there, he will make it if your container is not there. But suppose here I'm selecting a container only. I'm not making a container, but I'm selecting a container. But here I will make a directory and then move a file. That also can be done. So directory is not there, but I am making a directory and then giving a file name department.csv. First row as a header, import schema as none. Suppose you forget, you just on that particular row, you forget to click on first row as a header. You can click over here. So see, this is the pipeline. Okay. Once you open this, this is the data set. This is the data set which you have created. Okay. So whatever settings you are doing over here, suppose if you're doing here setting, here setting, here setting, here, whatever settings you are doing over here, it is related to your pipeline. Okay, it is all the setting related to your pipeline. Okay, sorry, activity. So this is a copy data activity setting. If I click on the white space, this is the setting pertaining to pipeline. Okay, this is a pipeline setting. This is the activity setting. If I open this, this is a data set setting. Okay, so all the setting which is happening over here, it is a data set setting. Let's go and understand once again. So if I click on the white space, this is the pipeline setting. Whatever settings you will do over here, it is pertaining to pipeline. So suppose if I paste any other copy data activity. So if I click on the white space, whatever parameter variable settings I am doing over here, it can be accessed across the activity, okay. Now, if I click over here, it is the setting related to copy data activity, only copy data activity, only this activity. This is the setting of the activity. If I open this, then this is the setting of the data set which you have created. So here, if you see, we are creating two data set, right? The round bar is coming. So it is showing that this all you are doing right now. Okay, so this is the setting related to your data set. Any confusion on this, guys?
No.
Okay, fine.
Uh,
Now we have done all the settings. Now let's run the pipeline. So before running, there are two procedures. Either you debug means we are trying to identify our pipeline is running fine or not. Debug means just to test our pipeline is fine or not. Okay. Before publishing, what is published? Suppose I am working on this space. Suppose 3 of you are working on a space. If I don't publish, then my other developer, I'm not saving my change. If I just refresh this, all the changes will be gone. Okay. So before you complete your work, publish the changes. Okay, so we will publish it. So let's debug it first and then see whether our pipeline is running fine or not. Succeeded. Let's go to the input container. Let's go to output container. Let's go to first copy. Department.csv is here. If I see my department.csv, this is how my department.csv looks. And it should look similar over here in the input. And if I see department.csv, it looks same. Okay. 1 second, I will just put my charger. Now, this looks same. Now it publishes the changes. Okay. Publish means I am saving all the changes. Okay. If you don't publish, then all the changes will be gone. If I just refresh it, it will not come. Okay. Done. Now what we have done, we have created a pipeline. in the pipeline, we have attached one activity which will perform a operation of copying the data from one input file to the output file. And we have created two data set. What are those data set? This data set, this data set. What is data set? The data set is a reference point of where data is located. Activity is kind of operation which you want to do. Pipeline is overall agenda of your task, basically. Okay.
So copy data. Oops.
Now there are three kinds of activity. What are those? Like if I in the pipeline, if I just go to the pipeline, there are multiple activities. So if I go to the pipeline, there are multiple activities. Stored procedure activity. Okay. For each activity, there are multiple activities. So just to segregate, there are three kinds of activity. One is data movement activity. Second is data transformation activity. Third is control flow activity. What is data movement activity? Data movement activity is activity which helps you to move the data from one point to another. And in this activity, only one activity comes, which is copy data activity. What is data transformation activity? Any activity which helps you to transform your data. Basically, do the data type conversion or add a column, remove a column, any kind of activity which helps you to transform the data. That is a data transformation activity. What is control flow activity? Any activity which helps you to perform any logical operation, means a for each operation. Suppose you tell me that Abhishek, I don't want to move one data. I want to move 5 files. Then a for each of it needs to be done, like one file. So I will paste a for each activity. Means for each file, I want to move the file. So not only one file. So I will cut it and paste it inside the for each. So this is not only for one file, but for 5 file. Okay. Any
Okay.
number of file basically. Now suppose this is a change which I have done, right? And I haven't published. If I refresh it, then all the changes will be gone because I haven't published it. Okay. So what is control flow activity? Any kind of logical operation which you want to perform. Okay. Lookup activity, for each activity. Okay. Any kind of operation. So let's go to the data movement activity. If I go to the data movement activity, then these are the connectors which is available. Okay. So you can treat Azure Blob Storage as a source and also as a destination. You can treat Azure Cognitive Search Index as a not as a source, but as a sink, because you cannot move the you cannot take the data from here, but you can move the data from here. Let's go to a good example of MySQL. So where is MySQL? KLMNOP. Where is MySQL? Yeah. So I can take the data from MySQL, but I cannot move the data to MySQL. Okay. That is not possible because connector is not there. So if I go over here in the source, in the sink side, and if I open it, and if I search MySQL over here, that option is not coming. But if I go to the source and search MySQL over here, the option is coming. So you can take the data from MySQL, but you cannot move the data to MySQL. Okay. So yeah, so here whenever a particular person is asking you that, hey, I want to move the data from here to here, you can come over here and check whether the connector is possible or not. If the connector is not possible, then you cannot do it by using data factory using connector. But if suppose uh, through API, you can do it. So suppose for a particular data source, suppose like for Oracle, on Onyx services, some Onyx service is there in Oracle. So for that, we don't have a connector. But if the data is exposed through a API, then it can be moved. So in IT world, here and there, you will find a solution to basically move it. But you cannot directly do it using connector. That you cannot do. Okay. So this is copy data activity. This is data transformation activity. This is control flow activity. Now, it is very important interview question that what are control flow activity. Okay. So data movement activity, you can easily understand, hey, it will be a copy data activity. Data transformation, you will easily answer, then hey, we will transform the data. But if someone will ask you what is control flow activity, then in the interview you will try to make sense out of it. Hey, it will control the activity or what. So you need to remember this definition, because sometimes in the interview people ask it, and just remember what are control flow activity. Any confusion is still here.
So in the control flow, we can use the for each or while something like looping, correct? So it will applicable on.
Not only looping, but any logical operation. Let me show you. So where is control flow? Yeah. So append variable for each, filter, get metadata activity, if condition activity, lookup activity, set variable, until activity, validation activity, wait activity, web activity, webhook activity. What is those? What are those? And we need to understand this. So we will understand for each. We will understand lookup. It's not necessary you understand everything, okay? But we will understand main activity. If any logical operation, so if this is this, then do this. Any for each, any logical operation, filter, okay? Any logical operation basically.
So if I would like to use the for each, so it will apply the for each on the data or on the file.
It will apply. What do you mean by data or file? The same, right?
Okay, the CSV file having the department data, correct?
So what it will
Right.
do, suppose in a folder you have a 5 CSV file, okay? So you will make an array, and you will store your 5 CSV. So it will, you will just to give you a context of it, how it will happen. So let's delete this. Suppose you have 5 files in a folder, which is which is suppose department dot 5 files X, Y, X, A, B, C, D, or E. Okay. Then what you will do, you will say X equals to create an array A, B, just like passing it dynamically. So you will refer X in your copy data activity, and you will one by one iterate it. One for A, for B, for C, for D. Well, we will go into this. If I tell you now, you will not get it. But I will just create a for each pipeline and then show you how it needs to be done.
Okay.
In later on, okay.
And one more, the copy data, this activity is a one-time activity. Means once we move the CSV data, that's done. Then if in the changes in future in the source, then it will not capture that changes.
You need to run it again.
Okay, got it.
You need to run it again. So either you do a full load, like copying the whole file, or you capture the changes. That is delta load. So we'll understand that as well.
Okay.
How to do the full load, how to do the delta load. But you need to set up a trigger. So in that case, we'll set up a trigger. Suppose and the process that is what I am telling you. The process is exactly same. Suppose you tell me that Abhishek, I don't want to move the data from data lake Gen 2 to data lake Gen 2. I want to try something else. So suppose you said that Abhishek, I want to move the data from MS SQL. So how you will do it? You go over here, create a new pipeline. You paste a copy data activity. Okay, and then suppose in the source you will select MS SQL over here. SQL you select, okay, and you will select your MySQL, MS SQL, whatever you want to do. You select that database. Okay, so where is SQL Server? Yeah, SQL Server. And then you select a link service, because we had already understood we need to make a link service to make a connection. Okay, once you make a connection, then you select a table name which you want to move. Click OK. Then go to the sink where you want to move it. So you want to move the data to data lake Gen 2. So select data lake Gen 2 over here. Or if I suppose if you don't want to move the data lake Gen 2, you want to move the data from PostgreSQL, select PostgreSQL. So and make a link service for PostgreSQL. Then give the table name in which you want to copy, then continue and run the pipeline. The process is exactly same. There is no change. Just make a link service, and then in the source, do the setting, what data you want to move, go to the sink, do the setting where you want to move, your job is done. Okay. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I going fast? Are you able to understand?
But it's completely new for us, so
But do I need to
That's it.
slow down? If anything needs to be slowed down, please let me know, because if something needs to be changed, please let me know so that I can work on it. But till now, everything is clear.
Yes, I think
yes.
you can just move on a little slow on this tabs maybe, so
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
parallelly just checking on it. Yeah,
okay, fine.
just
So copy data activity.
mm,
So for each of it, delta load, full load, all of it, forget it for now. Okay, that's not
yeah.
important. Important is whatever we are doing right now, whether it is we need to understand that first. Everything will come in future because we are in the third class right now, right? And everything cannot be understood in third class. So we will slowly go one by one. But copy data activity, how to, so your agenda should be right now to understand how to move the data from input container to output container. That is understood or not?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's understand how to move the data from blob storage to data lake giant to simple procedure. Same thing we need to do. Let's rename the pipeline. So pipeline will be renamed from here. Okay. So if you click over here, suppose if I want to rename this pipeline, how I will do? I will click over here. Okay.
Properties.
And then I will rename it. Okay. And if I click over here, it is a JSON code. So every pipeline setting will be stored in a JSON format. Okay. So this is a JSON code which is being created in the backend. Okay. I am just telling you for your information, but it is not so useful for you now. So suppose now I am moving the data from blob to data lake gen 2.
Blob
I
to
will write
data.
blob to data lake gen 2. Now I will paste a copy data activity.
Copy.
Now I will go to the
Source.
source. I will
Yeah.
select blob
Blob.
and I will select this, and then I will select,
So these are the files which are already there in your system, right? Like I mean, the
yeah,
CSV files.
ideally it shouldn't be there. So ideally it should come from any on-premise source. But what I have done, I went over here and then uploaded the file. Okay, that is what I have done. So how to upload the file? You can come over here, create a
Mhm.
container, upload the file. Okay, but how it will be done in a real case scenario? In real case scenario, you will not upload the file. It will come from any on-premise source. And how to
Mm,
deal with on-premise source? You will make a self-hosted integration runtime, connect with that server,
Mhm.
make a link service, then make particular source. Like just like here, you will select your MS SQL and whatever you want to select. Here you will select MS SQL, MySQL or MS SQL. Here you will select MS SQL. Select the SQL server, make a link service for it, and then move the data to data lake gen 2. But for now, you can just upload as well. That also you can do by this, because I have already shared sample files, right? Those sample file you can upload over here and then play with it for now. Okay. Okay.
Source.
Guys, is it making sense or no?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's very interesting topic.
Okay, fine. Fine. Now here I will go to blob storage. I will select blob and then I will go to CSV file and then I will select blob source. Blob source, suppose input container. Okay, and then I will select my link service, which I have already made. And then I will select this input container department.csv. First row as a header, import schema as none. Then go to sync, click new, data lake gen 2, click CSV, blob to data lake Gen
So
2. Yeah.
sync is nothing but it is to location, right? Source is from
S-
location and sync is to
Yeah,
location.
so say sync is destination, source is
Destination.
this.
Yeah.
I don't know Microsoft, if Microsoft has given sync as destination, probably it would be a better naming, I feel, but I don't know why they have given sync. So because sync is basically destination, okay?
It's like
Yeah.
taking the data and syncing. Okay, yeah.
Sync is where you are just transferring the data. So suppose let's create a new container this time. So here I will create my container, or suppose I will create blob transfer container and I will name as department.csv. Import schema is done. Suppose if I forget this particular first row as a header, then you can open it and here you can scroll down and select first row as a header over here. What I have done, open it, scroll it down, first select first row as a header over there, then let's run it.
Debug.
It's so validate and debug is the same, or it's the
I will
different?
tell you the difference between both, what is validate and what is debug. I should have started with validate first, but I will just tell you what is the meaning of validate. So it succeeded. Now if I go to data lake Gen 2, if I refresh this, then blob transfer is there and also my file is there. Now what is the meaning of validate? So suppose if I don't select anything over here, okay? Now if I just run the pipeline, it will throw error. And if I validate, then also it throws the same error. What does validate means? Validate means that all the settings are proper or not. Have you missed anything? Have something needs to be fixed or not? That is what validate does, okay? So you can validate first and then try to debug. It is basically same, okay?
Okay.
Now let's refresh this. Okay, so here blob to data lake Gen to sync. Okay, let's publish this. And we can, so suppose if I give you a task now, there that, hey, move the data from data lake. If I give you the task that move the data from, so in first task, what we have done, we have moved the data from input container to output container, right? And in the second task, what we have done, we have took the data from blob container and moved it to
Data
your
lake Gen
blob
2.
transfer, right? Now, if I tell you to move the data from blob container to the output container of data lake Gen 2, okay, that is the task. Suppose if I have given you, okay. So let me write it. Here you can make notes as well. So suppose first what we have done over this pipeline. Let's create a new pipeline. Okay, so this pipeline. So the first copy data pipeline, in first copy data pipeline, we have moved the data from data lake Gen 2 input to output. Okay. And in the second pipeline, we move the data from blob to data lake Gen 2. Okay. Now, if I give you the task that, hey, move the data from input container to data lake Gen 2, that is the task which I have given you. Okay. From input container of data lake Gen 2 to blob transfer of data lake Gen 2. Okay. So we have made a blob transfer, right, over here.
Okay.
Is it clear, guys, what I'm trying to say?
Mhm.
So if I want to move the data from here to here, okay, then what I am trying to say is you don't need to make another data source for it. Okay, so suppose what is your source? In this case, what is your source? Your source is the first copy pipeline which you have made. Okay, So for this source is your same source, right? First copy
Mm.
input output. So you can refer to the same one. You don't need to create another data set.
Okay.
What is your sink? Your sink is another like your blob container,
Blob
what you have done,
data
right?
container.
So blob, you can refer to the same one. Now your job is done. Okay, you don't need to create another data set. You just, because your source data set which you want to fetch and which you want to copy is also same. All right. So you can take a reference of same data set. You don't need to create another data set. It is also a good practice. Okay. So if you have a data set in your organization for a particular source, then you don't need to create another one data set for all the source. Okay. So you can just try to reiterate the same data set. That also you can do. Okay. Now we will understand this copy data activity in a detailed fashion. Because you will create in all the pipeline which you create, you will always use the copy data activity. So it's important to learn it in a detailed fashion. Okay. So here I will just go to this pipeline, and in the copy data pipeline, now your source and sink setting will always differ. So if you see in the copy data pipeline, the source, whatever settings are there, and in the sink setting, whatever settings are there, it will differ. Okay. So here in the source as well, I have selected as data lake giant 2. In the sink as well, I have selected as data lake giant 2, but settings are different. Okay. And also if I change the source, if I select the Azure SQL database, okay. So for this, the different setting will come, and for the blob storage, which is a different setting will come. So if you select SQL, then also different setting. Okay. So source and sync setting depends on kind of a source and kind of a
Sync.
yes, you are choosing basically, right? Now in the general tab, here you can write the copy data pipeline name. So suppose this is data lake gen 2, but you want to name this copy data activity something like different. Suppose if you want to name it as first copy department. Suppose you're copying department, and also after that you're copying employee file. So you can name it as copy department. Okay, it will be changed over here. You can write description of it if you want to, like what it doing, when it got created or something like that. Okay. Here is the timeout error. What does it mean? Suppose you are in the development stage. Okay. And in the development stage, your copy data activity takes around 5 minutes. Okay. So you can set your timeout error as 10 minutes in the production environment, because uh, so that you can find out the outlier. If it is showing you a different behavior, then you can find out that. Okay. So here you can set up that. So suppose this is 12 hours. So it will give you a timeout error. If it is taking more than 12 hours, it will give you the error. Okay. So that you can set up over here. Retry is how many times it needs to retry. Like suppose it got failed, then how many times it needs to retry, and retry interval. Nobody does all of this setting. Okay. But timeout is a good setting which you can try. Nobody's write description. I haven't written description till now in my 7 years of career. But if you want to write it, it's good to write a small description, but not like too many details description. Okay. And secure input, secure output. I don't know what is this, and I haven't used it. Okay. Now let's come into this. What is prefix wildcard lister file? Very important. We'll go into detail of this. What is this? Very important. We'll go into this. What is recursive? That also will understand. This is enable partition discovery, max concurrent settings, skip line count, additional column. This also we will check. All of this I haven't explored, so we can just discuss this and you can explore, but this is not useful. Like I haven't used it till now. I have worked on this additional column. We will work on this. All of this will understand. Then go to the next setting, file extension. We will discuss mapping. First, let's discuss the mapping. So what is mapping? Let's import the schema first, then we'll discuss the mapping. Now, what is mapping? Suppose when I am copying the data from source to sink, okay? When I'm copying data from source to sink, I want to rearrange the column. Okay, so suppose I don't want department ID as a first column. So if I go to who is yawning? Huh? Who is yawning?
I'm
Arjun.
yeah.
Yeah, it's already late for you guys. Sorry if my class is too boring, but I
No, no.
understand, man. Okay.
Yeah, I started work also right in the morning and
Yeah, no problem.
uh,
How I can make it interesting?
no,
Okay,
this is
fine.
interesting. Yeah, we can do it.
So let's go to the output container. Suppose here in the input container, we have department ID as first column. This is the department ID. Suppose I want name as the first column, department ID as second column. Okay, when I'm making a copy. So if I go to the output container, first copy, department.csv, and if I go, I want to make name as a first column. It is not making sense right now that, hey, there are two columns. Why I want to rearrange it? Okay. Why I'm taking this example? Because this is a small file. It doesn't take time to run. Okay. But suppose if you have 300 column and you want to rearrange it, it is making sense that you want to see few of the column at first. Okay. So that you can try with the bigger column as well. But during the class, I don't try with the bigger column because it takes time to run. Now, how to do it? Here you can select name. And here also you can select name. And then here you can select department ID. Okay. Now, if you run this in the destination mode, department ID will be a second column instead of first column. Now it's done. Now, if I go over here, let me go to, okay, I'm in the output only, right? Let's go over here and then go to edit and then refresh. Okay, why? Let's go to this, go to sync. This is blob. Okay, so let's go to, sorry, let me open this. So storage blob, this is blob storage. So we need to go to the blob. Blob service. Open, what is this? Input department 2. Input department 2. Edit. See, name is the first column, department ID is a second column. Okay.
Second.
Now, suppose you said that Abhishek, I want to rearrange and also I want to delete. Okay. So suppose if you just rearranged and then you don't want the department ID, that also can be done. You just debug after deleting it. Done. Okay. So mapping will be used to basically rearrange or delete the column. Okay. And data type conversion. If you want to do some data type conversion for that as well, you can use this mapping feature. Now let's go to the source. And let's understand prefix wildcard list of file. Okay. Any doubt till here, guys? Mapping is clear. Copy data
Yeah.
activity is clear.
Okay.
What is pipeline activity and pipeline activity and what was the data set? Yeah, pipeline activity and data set is
Data
clear.
sets.
Okay,
Yeah.
now we will understand what is list of files. Okay. So let's go to my container. Let's go to storage account. We will refresh this space. We'll create a new pipeline. Suppose in this folder, Sagar said that, hey, Abhishek, we don't want to move one file. We want to move multiple file, and also you move only the file which I want you to move. Okay. So what we will do now, we will select few of the file from here. Okay. So suppose I am creating a notepad, and from here we will only move few of the files. Suppose I want to move department.csv, employee.csv, and sample data.csv. Only 3 file I want to move. Okay, so I will write the name of it and save as list of file.
And
Let's go over here in the copy data activity. I want to move the only the file which I have selected. Okay, source. Let's create a new pipeline, which is list of file pipeline. Let's paste the copy data activity. And I will go to the source, select the data lake gen 2 as source. Delimiter text to list of file source. Link service is this. My file is present in input container. Okay. Here all the files are present, which I want to move. Okay. So I will select that. I am not selecting a file name. If you see, I'm not selecting a file name over here. Okay. I'm just selecting a folder in which my files are present. Because there is 3 files. I cannot select all 3 files in over here, right? So I'm just selecting the folder, and then I'm going to the output container. Sorry, in data lake gen 2. Data lake gen 2. I am selecting CSV file. And here I am selecting, giving the name as list of file sync, and then I'm giving the link service as this, selecting a container which is output suppose, and here I will give the directory as list of file because all the file will be moved over there, list of file, and I'm not giving any file name. First as a header, import schema is done. Okay. Now here I will select the list of file settings and I will browse my metadata, which is present in input container and your list of file. And this is the file, right? Now let's validate. Everything seems fine. No error because it knows that you have selected list of file and he is okay if you don't give the file name because we have selected list of file. Let's debug. if I go to this, if I click on this, then if I go to output container, if I go to list of file, what are the file we have selected? Department.csv, department.csv, employee.csv, sample data.csv. All the file is copied. Okay. So this is how you can use list of file. Any confusion, guys?
Okay, no. So if you give the name, then it will take the data as well.
Only, yeah, it will take the data. Why we are giving the name? We are giving the name so that data factory can understand that I am going to this. So there is nothing. Okay. So he will check this particular metadata in list of file. What are the file Abhishek has mentioned? Then one by one he will make a copy. Okay, of one file. Okay, and put it in the sync. Now, copy data activity. Now what we will try to do? We will try to, if I go to data lake gen 2, if I go to input container, suppose there is department.c. Before that, what should I tell you? I should tell you, okay, fine. Let's do one thing. So before that, let's do a task. Okay, so I do have a folder 1, then I do have a folder 2, folder 2. Okay, then inside this folder I do have a folder again, folder 3, and inside this folder 3 I do have again another folder, folder 4, and inside this I have another folder, folder 5. But inside this folder I don't have anything. Okay, so I do have some files in the folder 2. We'll upload few files over here. Let's upload few files over here as well. Let's upload few files over here as well. In the folder 5, there is no file. Okay. Now Arjun said that Abhishek, I don't want to move files from here. I want to move all the file from folder 1 in the recursive fashion. Okay. In the recursive fashion, all the files should be moved. Okay. So for that, we will choose recursive option. So I will go to the source and I'm doing the setting in this pipeline only, guys, right? Again, I need to change otherwise. So I will select here. 1 second. First ADF pipeline. Okay, let's make a pipeline that would be give better understanding. So here I will create a copy data activity again. And this copy data activity, we need to do a recursive copy. Data lake gen 2 and input container folder 1. Okay, I'm not selecting any file from here. So in the folder 1, first as a header, import schema is none. And we need to do recursively. What is recursively? Okay. Process all the files in the input folder and its subfolder recursively or the file with selected folder. This setting will be disabled for the single file. For the single file as well, it will be disabled, and for list of file as well, it will not come. Okay. So recursive will only come. It will not come for the
Single.
list of file. Okay. Now let's go to the sync. Let's go to the sync. Select data lake gen2 over here. CSV file. Link service is this. Select the output container. And here we will make a recursive folder now. Recursive. And inside that we'll put all the folder. First as a header, import schema as none. The only change which I have done is I have selected a folder from which I want to do the recursive copy and then selected a recursive over here. Okay. Let's debug. What's the problem? Wildcard file. Okay, fine. For recursive,
Wildcard.
a wildcard file path is required. So here we'll select wildcard file path and then here we will select the folder one. Because folder one we want to copy. That is what I was thinking before, whether I should teach wildcard file path or I should teach recursive. Okay, fine. Then star.csv. So we want to copy all the CSV file from the folder one. That is why star.csv is there and then folder one is there, right? Folder one should be there. Folder one and then star.csv. All the file which is in the CSV format. That is why star.csv from the folder one. Let's validate. It looks fine. Then debug. It is running, kind of a running, but it's not showing over here. But wait, let's wait for some time. Here as well, we can see what are the pipelines you are running, okay, in the debug. From where I have seen it, you can go to the monitor tab and see the debug. Triggered and debug. Okay, recursive copy succeeded. Let's see. I have cancelled it, but let's see whether it got succeeded. I would go to the output container, go to the recursive. Yeah, see, folder one, folder three, folder four, and folder five didn't came. Why? Because folder file doesn't have any file, right? So if I go to the input container, if I go to the folder one, folder two, folder three, folder four, folder five is empty. So it is important to notice that it will copy all the file and only the folder if the file is there. If there's no file, it will not copy the folder structure itself. Okay. So this is recursive. Now suppose Suprit said that Abhishek, I want to move only the department, the file which is starting with department. Okay, I want to move only those files. So how that can be done? So here in the source, we can write instead of writing this, right? If instead of writing this CSV, I will write department star. Department star. Okay. And we will not do recursive right now. Okay, so recursive is not needed because we want to move all the file not from the folder one, only from the input container. Okay, from the input container, whatever files are there. So if you see all the department files are in the input container only, right? Now in the sync, in the sync, I will put it in the wildcard folder. Sorry. I will put it in the wildcard folder. Okay, instead of wildcard, I will put in the wildcard folder so that you can see it. Okay, so yeah, now let's run it. Done. Now if I go to this, if I go to output container, if I go to wildcard, why department 1 is only there? Department 2, department 3 should be also there. So let's try to analyze. If I go to input, okay, so I have here in the wildcard file path, I have written folder 1. Okay, that is why. So if we remove folder 1, okay, that should solve our problem. So if I remove folder 1, because what it is doing right now, it is going to folder 1. Okay, so if I go to input 1, input container, then inside folder 1 only department file is there. That is why. Now if I remove this, let's run it again. Sagar, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Why you not saying something? You should say something. Hmm?
Yeah.
The people who speak more in the class, they shouldn't be silent. Okay. Now let's go over here and then test. See if I go to data lake gen 2 and then output container, then wildcard. See, all the file came. Okay. So any doubt till here, guys?
Yeah, good.
Okay. So let's write the homework and we will meet now. So you have enough time now to practice. Okay, so we have covered almost 3.5 hours and I will give you homework to do, but I am not available on this weekend. Okay, so I won't be available now, like from 18th I am traveling till 21st, so we'll have the class on 22nd. And if you guys, I think you need time to practice whatever I have told. So if you guys able to complete the homework, I am okay to have a class on Wednesday. But if you are not, then we will connect on 22nd, which I think that enough time to practice, and then on 22nd we'll connect directly. Coming to the homework side, these are the homework which needs to be completed. So first is, anyways, this is the homework which I have already given you, right? Where is my homework? Yeah, this is my homework. Now, fifth homework is create a dummy file, create a dummy data in MS SQL, okay, and move the file to data lake gen 2. And Arjun, if you're not able to do it, that's fine. For you, it's okay because MS SQL is not familiar, but try to download MS SQL first for you, okay? Now, after that, copy the data from input container, from input to output container. Now, seventh homework is copy the data in data lake gen 2. In data lake Gen 2 and copy the data from input to output, and then like your blob to data lake Gen 2, and then just try to use the same data set and create a new pipeline without even just try to get a how to use the data set what I was showing before, right? Try to use the same data set and create a pipeline, probably from input of data lake Gen 2 to blob container which you have used as source down below. Okay, now the ninth homework is use mapping and delete and rearrange the column. Okay, 10th homework is to basically use wildcard. Sorry, first you use list of file and copy the data. Okay, and then 11th is use recursive. Sorry, first use wildcard, and give star.csv. We can import JSON file because in my folder, which I have given you link, in my drive folder, you will find all kind of file, okay, over there. So sample file and learning, right? So in this sample file learning, you will find all kinds of files. So JSON files, CSV files, all kinds of files are there. So you can download all the file and put over there. Okay, so you can use all kinds of file over here. So CSV file star.csv, use star.csv plus after that use department star. Okay, use department star. Now, one more thing which I want to highlight, if you use blob storage, suppose if I use a blob storage over here, okay. See, prefix is coming, okay, prefix, which is not coming in data lake Gen 2. Okay, so if I use data lake Gen 2, then prefix option is not coming. Why? Because Microsoft realized that prefix is same as wildcard, because what is prefix? If I'm doing department star, then that is prefix. If I am doing star.csv, that is a wildcard. Means like any letter, if I want to copy the file which is starts with department, okay, that is prefix. So you can use prefix, try to use prefix as well, like just the department star, okay, and you will be able to do it. And wildcard is just a wildcard, department star or star.csv. So both can be combined. So try to explore the prefix option as well. Guys, are you able to understand what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Or no?
Yes.
Yes. Who is not able to understand?
So can you come again once?
What I'm trying to
What
say,
is the
suppose
prefix?
if I give you a scenario that copy all the file which starts with department. So that can be done using prefix. So here we'll write department star. Okay. Okay, department star. Okay, and then make a copy. But Microsoft removed this option of prefix. Why? Because they said that all prefix can also be done in wildcard if you put department star. Star.csv or department star, that is also wildcard. So prefix and prefix is combined with wildcard in data lake Gen 2, but it is an option in a blob storage. Okay.
Good.
So use prefix, use wildcard department star, and then also use prefix. Okay, use prefix for blob storage. Then do the recursive copy. And then 14th homework is use your this one. Now we have certain things which you can try. So here over here, suppose if you want to filter out by last modified date, suppose if you don't want to move all the data, so here last modified date is coming, right? So suppose here if I go in the input container, we have multiple files. See, we have multiple files, and I want to move only the file which for May. So I can put the filter of last modified date as well over here, right? So try to use the last modified date option and make a copy. Use last modified date. Last modified date and make a filter. Make a filter. Okay, 15th homework is yeah, 15th homework is try to add a column. Okay, so when you're making a copy, from input container to output container, okay, try to add the file name. Okay, and that will be done with additional column. Okay, so try to use this option. So when I'm making a copy in the sync, I want the file name as well, that from this file I fetch the data. So try to add the additional column. Use this feature. Try to use the additional column as well. Use additional column.
Can I add get date instead of
And
file name?
anything you can explore. I have given it homework to add this date, but if
Okay.
you are able to achieve that, try
Hmm.
to add the that date as well.
Okay.
Okay, but I'm not very sure that that can be done with additional column. There is other ways to do it, but try to do it. Like if you can do it, that's good. Use additional column. Now 16th is use additional column and add file name. And add file name. Now 16th homework is try to move the data from your C drive. Okay, so from the C drive. From the C drive, you need to move the data to your computer. And how it can be done? By using uh, file server. Okay, so if you go to file system link service. Okay, so that can be done using file system link service. File system link service, and use your Microsoft ID and password, not ID and PIN. ID and password when you're making a link service. When you're making a link service, you are making a link service. Use ID and password, not ID and PIN. Okay, password. And which particular folder path? Suppose for this one, if I go to properties, if I go to security, edit. So here something needs to be changed. Object name will be this, but here security something needs to be changed over here. I'm not very sure that. So if you're able to finally copy, just copy it. And if not, then try to explore this option. So something needs to be changed over here, which my student was saying that, sir, this thing also needs to be changed. So just try to see if you're trying to copy, something needs to be changed in the file name. Okay, so try to do this. So this is all. Now for Arjun, I have a specific homework for you. So which is you need to go to W3 school, W3 school, W3 school SQL. Okay, and if you guys know this already, that's good. So Sagar, you know, you are a database guy, so you know SQL.
Yeah, I
I
know.
know about it. And what
Yeah.
about Suprit? What about you? Do you know SQL or no?
No, actually, that's what I'm trying to say in the last class. You're always
Okay,
mentioning.
so what you need to do? You also try to install SQL and then try to run this command. Okay, one by one. Okay, so suppose if I'm running this in SQL, then you just read this, try it by
And
yourself,
yeah, you can run in
and
W3
then
school.
run the SQL over here as well. You can run, and you can, if you copy this, then in your database as well, you can run this. Okay.
You can import the adventure work for the practice. It's
Okay. So
online
when
database.
I'm away, you guys set up a call. Sagar, you set up a call with them and try to help them for half an hour. Okay, whenever you're free.
Okay.
So just Sagar will help you to basically do this. So try to do MS SQL install and run few of like go through this W3 school. It is very simple. And if you're facing difficulty that how to run, because you need to put a schema as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So try to just run it. And if you're not able to run it, then run it over here only. No need to run in SQL. Okay. So run it over here only. No problem. Just run the SQL, write the name and run this over SQL. Okay. So try to learn this. Till where you can learn it when I'm away. So you can learn this till min max. Okay, till here try to run it. Okay, till min max. Okay.
Yeah.
And it is very important. Okay, so this is Arjun. For Arjun and Suprit, this is very important. Very important is if you don't do above homework, I'm okay, but you need to do this to W3 school. But you should complete all the above homework. It's not like if you complete this and then come after a week, because after a week it's too much of time to complete all of this. You can complete all of the homework in 1 and 2 hours. So I guess this is pretty much enough for to spoil your weekend. So you just work on this, okay, and then just enjoy the weekend.
Yeah, I just want one last thing, but I'm sorry if I missed. I know it was discussed in the last class. I just wanted to know, like when I'm parallel doing it, linked service, it is not showing anything. So I think I need to create a linked one. So can you
What?
just one show linked service, how to create a linked service?
Okay,
Where
fine.
while we are going to this source, right? It will ask for a link service.
Yeah, so if I suppose if we forget to create a link service, okay.
Mhm.
Now, suppose you said that I don't remember how to create link service, then you copy, you paste a copy,
Mhm. Yeah,
then you go to the source,
right.
then you select the data set which you want to copy. So select the data lake Gen2,
Yeah.
then you select the file.
Okay.
Then suppose for you, nothing is coming. You click on new.
Okay.
Okay. And then here you give the name because you should be able to understand which particular for which source you are creating a link service. So give a proper name over here.
Okay.
Then select your storage account name, which is this, and give the actual Gen2 over here as well. Suppose this is actual Gen2 LS. Actual Gen2 LS. Okay. And this is already exist. Okay. So LS and then test connection. Test connection. Why we are doing test connection? Because it might happen that something is wrong over here and then you created it with the wrong configuration. So test the connection and then create. Once you create it, it will be registered in a link service over here as well. Once I create, okay, this is created, right? Now you can just select whatever you want to select. Okay, suppose I am selecting landing region, then it is done. And then you can come over here. And here you can see this link service that also can be done. And if you want, you can select create a link service from here and then refer it over there as well. That also can be done. Now, since all of you are working in a single subscription, then I recommend that you create different data factories so that you can segregate your work. So create 3 data factory for Sagar, name it Sagar. For Suprit, name it Suprit. And then for data lake, create 3 data lakes over here and 3 blob storage. Okay, and use only your blob storage, or you can create 3 different resource group and tag along in your resource group only. Okay, that also can be done. You just work, but like don't create SQL database. I will only tell you to create a SQL database because it's cost money. The storage account doesn't cost much money. Data factory doesn't cost much money, but don't run out bigger data set. Okay, don't put that, hey, I want to, Abhishek, I learned this. Now I will try in my company's data set. I imported 2 GB of data and then I started the running. So don't do that. Okay, it will cost you money. So try practicing on a small data set for now. Create 3 resource group, create all of resources in that resource group. No matter if you create 6 storage account, it will not cost you money. But don't create SQL database. Don't practice on bigger data set. Okay, guys.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Abhishek, one question. Arjun added my user in the subscription, right? So, how does it look like in my account? Does it show as free trial or?
Yeah, it will go. It will show as a free trial. Have you switched the directory or you haven't switched the directory?
Okay, 1 second. Has switched. Okay, yes.
You need to switch.
Yeah. Okay.
Once you switch, you went to Arjun. Okay, currently you are in yours account. Once you switch, you are coming to Arjun's account. And then if you go to the subscription, you will be able to see the subscription.
Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah, it's changed.
Okay. So see, guys, the till now I have invested only €4.
Hmm.
And I guess my student is not working on it. So I am only using this particular subscription. We have invested only €4. So it doesn't cost you much money. So if you just carefully use your subscription, so you can easily practice for 1 month. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So let's meet on Monday. We will discuss the timing. Okay, and then we'll meet on Monday. But before Monday, please make sure that you do all the homework. If you are not able to do this, then you will create a backlog and it will be very difficult to just practice it again. You will miss it completely. So try to just give 1 and 2 hours of your time in the whole week, and it would be very much enough to do whatever task I have assigned.
Okay.
Okay, guys, let's meet on Monday then. Bye.
Got
See
it.
you.
Yeah.
Thank-
Thanks. Thanks,
Yeah.
Abhishek. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.